Hey everyone, Griff Hamlin here. Welcome and thanks for joining me. Today's video is in response to an interesting question that I often receive, which is, what is the blues? What is it that makes something sound like the blues instead of just sounding like something else, okay? And I've had to think about this one long and hard over the years because the question does come up a lot, and it's kind of an interesting answer, and there's a little bit of theory behind it, but what it basically boils down to is putting what we would call a flatted third or a minor third over a chord that has fundamentally a major third in it, okay? So it's kind of the almost clashing, if you will, of the thirds. The clash of the thirds. It sounds like, you know, a WWF thing or something, but let me show you a little bit about what I mean. If you look at like a G7 chord, right? And this is basic, you know, bar chord G7. Could be open G7. It doesn't matter, but I'm using E-shaped bar chord here, right? So in this, I've got a G, which is what we call the root, okay? I've got a D, which is the fifth of the chord, meaning if you go through the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the fifth note of the scale. Then I have an F, which is called the flatted seventh, and that's part of how you build a dominant seventh chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. F sharp is actually the seventh note of a G major scale, but we're going to move it down a half step to an F natural, so it's a flatted 7. So I have root, a fifth, a flatted seventh, a third, okay? This is B. 1, 2, 3, B. That's it, up an octave. Another D, so there's another fifth, and another root. So I have root, G, fifth, D, flatted seventh, F natural, third is B, fifth is D, and the root is G. Right? Now, that is a very common chord in the blues. We play seventh chords a lot, okay? But here's an interesting thing. We are taught, and rightly so, to use what's commonly called the G minor blues scale over the G7 chord, right? So we have that note right there is the big offender, the B flat. Okay, so instead of playing B natural, now you can play B natural, but we have this common thing that we do, which is to play the B flat. Okay, and that right there, if you ask me, is what makes it blues. And here's how I'm going to prove it. I've got a little made a little jam track. I'll say it's just me playing. It's just a loop of a G7 chord. Okay, so let's start that. So now you hear a G7 go on. So while that's going on, I'm going to play the B. So I'm going to play only chord tones. There's that B again, right? But listen to what happens if I do the B flat. There's the B natural, there's the B flat. All right. So you would kind of think, I mean, you know, our brains kind of tell us, well, you can't do that. You know, if you look at it on paper, you go, well, that chord's got a B in it. How can you play that B flat over it? Well, you just heard me did it, or you heard me do it. It's not grammar day. So, you know, you just heard me do that. You heard me put that B flat over the G, and it sounds good. It sounds like what we hear and what we think of as blues, okay? Now, I have one more demonstration of this for you, which is this. If I take a really simple song, okay, or take a really something like a G chord, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this into my looper also, and I'm going to start this loop up just going on G. All right, now as I start this loop, notice you're going to want to hear that B natural, because the chord is just a G. But since there's no seventh in it, and there's nothing really to tell me major or minor, listen to what happens when I put that flat third and that flat seventh. It instantly sounds bluesy. Very major sounding. So you hear, I can, play just a regular old major scale over that, and it'll work very nicely because it's a G major chord. That's probably what your ear is going to kind of lean towards, but it's entirely possible if you're, if you want it to sound bluesy. There's nothing in that chord to argue with you about it. There's no major seventh there already. So you can throw in the flatted seventh, and of course throw in your flatted third, and all of a sudden you get a blues sound. So as you can hear, even in different situations, as soon as I throw that flat third over top of a chord with a regular third, I get the blues sound. Okay? So I hope this kind of answers that question. I know it's a complicated question, and I tried to answer it without too much theory, but hopefully that makes sense and you got something out of it, and I'll see you soon.